From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Mike Norvell reveals the reasoning behind a purge of high-level assistants. Recruits for now reacting unfavorably to the news. And laying it on the line, we predict the configuration of the new offensive staff at FSU moving forward. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code warchantbogo. Warchant B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. Still trying to figure out if that applies to the coordinator market again. See if we can just maybe get one. Maybe just half price. We don't even want to get it for free. Maybe just half price. Hook us up, Jimmy Sexton. Our friends over at Vitamin Energy, though, they're going to hook you folks up with one for free or 5 for free if you order 5. That's how it all works. Warchant BOGO over at vitaminenergy.com. Vitamins, nutrients, all natural caffeine, no sugar crash. And again, just things that makes, the workouts better, makes getting to the office after a long holiday weekend a little bit better, keeps you a little bit on the level when there's kids screaming on an airplane. All these things that we encounter in our everyday lives can be mitigated and eased by Vitamin Energy. Check them out, vitaminenergy.com, promo code warchantbogo. Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminoles Sports Source Core. And this is usually when I tell you to put the 5-star rating and review, hit a thumbs up and all that kind of stuff, and then tell you about FSU 1 for 2 months and only $1. But, Corey, what if I told you you could sign up for $1 for a whole week of access and then get 50% off your first year at warchant.com?
Yeah, I think that'd be too good to be true, and Gene's trying to go out of business.
Well, he's trying to go out of business.
Give it away. Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening right now. It's the $150 special. So $1 for a week, and then 50% off your first year at Warchant. I think that might mean first-time subscribers, but you might be able to find a way around that. Not advocating it, but, there are ways that people go around things in life. It's how society has been functioning for a long, long time. But check us out, warchant.com. No hot board yet, Corey. No hot board yet.
Right.
But soon. Soon, we all hope. Corey might be the hardest working guy on the beat right now. Our guy hopping on to the call-in show on Saturday, then doing the rap, writing a column, then on Sunday hopping in to the live reaction to the firings, and then doing a podcast, and then on Monday, live
column. Column there, too, yeah.
Sorry. Monday, live transcription of a 30-minute press conference from Mike Norvell, and then a wrap-up reaction to everything that was said, and then he hung out with us to do this podcast today, everybody. I just can't be more thankful. Corey Clark, everybody. What's up, man?
And as we record this, you haven't seen it yet, but I wrote another column. That's 3 days in a row, which I think is a Corey Clark record. But hey, maybe at the end of the Jimbo era, I was writing a column every day. It felt like, but yeah, that's where we are, man. What a crazy 48 hours starting with that just embarrassment in South Bend, and now here we are. You get an announcement of coaches being fired on a Sunday, and then an actual press conference like 16 hours later, which is just unheard of in this business. So, yeah, a lot to write about. A lot to talk about, too.
Yeah. So let's get to it. Let's start talking about the talking. I think, if you want to be the positive guy, half glass full, I think the biggest takeaway would be, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 times where Mike said, with a level of confidence unseen in a head coach that's 1-9, I would think, that they're going to get this thing fixed, Corey. That they're going to bounce back, and they're going to bounce back fast. That was my big sort of takeaway from the positive aspect of things. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he said that we're going to get it right. I think we talked about it in yesterday's show. It's too important to not get it right, or at least I shouldn't say that because people pay a lot of money and it goes poorly all the time. But they are going to try their darndest to get this thing right, and that's going to mean multi-year contracts to very good coordinators out there somewhere. Very good defensive, offensive coordinators. There's going to be more coaches coming. But you've got to spend money to make money, Aslan, and they're going to have to go get themselves really good assistant coaches and hope they can flip this thing around quickly. He did seem adamant. He seemed determined. But those are words. I thought, and what I'm about to talk about is words too. But it's words that caught my ear even a little bit more than that. Like, it's awesome. And I do think he was genuinely upset about what he had to do yesterday. But I wrote, this is mainly what my column is about, because number one, there was a lot of trepidation among this fan base for no real reason, in my opinion. But there were a lot of people that thought he was not going to make any big changes, which just seemed, I don't know, counterintuitive to everything we were watching on the field, and then the way he talked after press conference. During press conference, he would never come out and say, "Yeah, I'm firing these SOBs here, here, and here," and the other side of the ball ain't safe either. He was never going to say that at 1-5. But I just felt you could tell as the season devolved into madness that changes were coming, big changes were coming. But because he hadn't announced anything or kept saying the same thing over and over again at this press conference, the fan base was getting a little, worried that nothing was going to change. On that same token, I was getting worried, and I'm still not 100% unworried, that he's still going to be the offensive coordinator next year. But I thought the way he talked on Monday, at least it was a window into what he's thinking, in the sense that I just asked him if he would think about a new offensive coordinator, and those conversations would be like, the offensive coordinator is going to want to know, hey, am I just running your offense, or do I get to bring in my own offense? And would you allow an offensive coordinator to bring in his own offense? And Norvell was like, well, it'll work. Yes, to all those. He didn't say it like it's absolutely going to happen, but he at least was saying he would consider it, which I think is a big step, man. That's very important. I don't care, and this was the point I made in the column, Aslan. It's like, man, people keep talking about play calling, giving up play calling duties. Man, I don't care what order somebody whispers into a headset to a quarterback this sheet of plays. Mike Norvell would have called that on play 11, but this guy calls it on play 4. That's not going to happen. It's shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. You've got to get a new boat. And so that's what I'm wondering, is if he will bring in a person that brings in his whole new offense. It didn't seem out of the realm on Monday, did it?
I mean, he said everything's on the table, but he said that for the last 3 weeks, and I haven't been budged off my thought that he has supreme confidence in who he is as an offensive play caller, and that it's been a really terrible offensive line. And as receivers can't get separation, he can get some playmakers and some offensive linemen and a good offensive line coach. My plays will work. We will be successful once again.
But that's not what he said. You're projecting. And also, he didn't say what I just said either. We're both projecting in a way. I'm projecting hope. You're projecting fear. I guess that's what makes us different. But no, I thought
I said everything was on the table. So I mean, I think it was.
But that's an admission that a lot of people that have had his success as an offensive play caller maybe wouldn't make. And I think the bigger admission was like the practicality. It was like, if you guys go watch the clip, I think we tweeted it out. It's on the reaction show that Tom and I did. The fact that he's like, look, it's been awful. It's been awful. We all know that. That admission of like, quit with the reasons why that this happened and this happened and this happened. It's been awful. And he's like, we've all seen it. So the fact that was initially how he started the answer made me think, okay, the fact that it's so awful, and it's well documented on this show how awful it is, I thought that maybe gave some hope that, man, you could go get a really good offensive coordinator. He's not coming here to run your plays. He's coming in here to bring in his offense. But that is on the table. It's also on the table that you bring in somebody to call your plays. Or you just bring in an offensive line coach and you can continue to call plays. It's all on the table. I just think it spoke to his level of urgency, in my opinion, that he brought up unsolicited. I didn't ask him how bad the offense was. He just straight up said, when I asked him about coordinator, he's like, look, yeah, it's been awful. So, of course, that's a possibility, that I would just bring in a whole new offensive coordinator and a whole new offensive staff, and I won't have anything to do with it. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but at least it's a possibility, which was my big takeaway.
All right, I don't want to discount what he said, but he said earlier in the season, too, that he did the same sort of thing about the offense. Like, I know it's bad. Like, he's like, we all know it's bad. I mean, but for him to say it again, he said it once. Who wants to admit that their offense, and it's his offense, every single bit of it is terrible, and then he admitted it again, so maybe it's really resonating with him.
And he was also willing to fire his friends. I don't know if they're friends. I can't guess their relationship, but guys that had worked with him for 5 and 6 years and helped him build this thing back up. He was willing to fire them. So he's shown he's willing to make drastic changes if need be. So I feel like at least we know there's a recent history of him being willing to make change and accept change. So that, again, all this just buoys me a little bit, that you can bring in someone and let them run what they need to run. But you're right, we don't know, right? He's been saying this a lot. They're all words. The only action he's taken is what happened on Sunday.
Yeah. October 10th, it was the run game. I will say that when it comes to the run game, it's been awful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the whole offense now after October. October, it was just the rushing offense.
Yeah.
Passing offense, but now it's all awful. Light on details, though, which I guess is to be expected, Corey. I don't even know if anybody asked him if this is the extent of changes. I think we all assume that this is part or phase one of what's going to be a complete overhaul of this coaching staff.
Yeah.
But we did not get any clarification on whether or not there'll be more changes to come. Didn't get a lot of clarification on timelines. We did get clarification on the messaging to recruits. But then we didn't really get clarification on the profile of guy he's looking for either. But he did say he has an idea, but he didn't want to share specifics. So yeah. I guess take that for what it's worth, everybody.
And he was I think that question was specifically about defensive coordinator.
Right.
Like what kind of resume or what kind of background is he looking for his new defensive coordinator? Traits. There you go. But yeah, he didn't want to go into specifics, which you understand. You don't want to eliminate half the. I'm looking for a guy under 30. All right, well, great. Well, there goes 80% of the possibilities. So he's not going to give away what he's looking for. He could talk about what kind of characteristics he wants in his defense, because what he's seen the last year is certainly not that. But yeah, I thought that. I think we should address it. I know you don't like when I do this or I do it too much, but as Gene was saying, I don't even know if you heard him. You might have already left by then. It's like. It's pretty rare. I don't even think it's pretty rare. It is almost unheard of for a decision like that to be made on Sunday and then to go through with a press conference, right? Like college football coaches don't talk about this stuff ever. And if they do, it's 4 days after. They'll release something on a Friday afternoon of a bye week, and then they talk to you again on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We weren't even sure that on Sunday when I did the live show with Tom and Gene, we're like, we think the press conference is still going on, but we don't know for sure. And that's just how we've been trained as media members around this sport. Is like, well, heaven forbid a coach has to answer for a decision that he had to make. Let's give him 3 or 4 days of leeway until we talk to him again. But he was answering questions about it 18 hours later. That's not a normal position to be in. And also, you can't be all that forthright, right? Like, he could be forthright with why it was done, but he's not going to talk about he was asked about the coaches he's fired, their reactions. And he's like, I'm not going to get into that, but it was hard. And then he's not going to ask specifically about, like, what his timetable is or what kind of traits he's looking at. But he did answer, like, why this had to happen, why he felt it had to happen, and how embarrassed and how awful this whole thing is. And I just, again – 1-9 is 1-9. If this guy keeps doing this, I'm going to be right there with all you guys that want him gone. But it's just not normal. That he's out there facing us. Maybe he knew Ira was out of town, but he's out there facing us 18 hours after making those decisions. And people can say, well, yeah, that's his job. I get it. I 100% agree. Go tell the rest of the country, because none of them do it. And so he was in a weird position, was my point to all that, to making those decisions and then talking about it less than 24 hours later, because it hasn't had a chance to breathe. Like, he'll be much more interesting, I would think, maybe on next Monday when he's had a whole bye week to start this interview process. But he did say that people have already been reaching out, a lot of good people. He also mentioned the NFL, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that caught your ear or not.
I didn't even hear that. Why don't you clarify that for us?
Come on, Aslan. Let's go. He said something about...
Well, you didn't check your email and see that they emailed us on Friday saying there's going to be a press conference on Monday at 11:30.
Right. I did see that. But my point is...
He could have canceled it or whatever.
Most coaches would have canceled it.
Yeah.
Or said, we're not doing it. Like, that's the same thing as canceling it. It's not doing it. No, I knew it was coming. It's not like they scheduled a press conference to talk about the firings. But everything was on his schedule right after all that. Just most times that doesn't happen. But yeah, he said something along the lines of, I'm going to paraphrase. He's like, we've had a lot of interest already, even from the next level.
Well, there was a rumor out there, I think, a week or two ago about Charlie Partridge, who used to be the head coach at FAU for a minute. He was at Pitt the last few years as the defensive line coach. I think right now he's with the Colts. And I don't know, that staff's not killing it right now, so maybe he'll want to come back to the college level. But yeah, Charlie Partridge is a guy that name was floated out a week or two ago, so that he's an NFL guy.
Okay, but not a coordinator?
Correct. He's defensive line coach. But, I mean, he could be your coordinator. Yeah, man. He has that. It's an Narduzzi's defense he was running in Pitt, too, but he has some, higher level experience. He was a head coach, too. So.
Yeah. But he did mention that they've had a lot of interest already, including from the next level. He didn't say if that was defense or offense. I assume both. And look, man, they're like we've talked about. They're working back channels, so it's not going to be a public search. You don't want to be turned down a bunch publicly, like these head coaching searches always turn it. Like Alabama essentially got turned down twice last year. Alabama. So you don't want to make at least definitely once,
right?
And again, my man Bruce Feldman makes it seem like they were turned down twice. But either way, they were turned down. Alabama was turned down.
Yes,
it's crazy. So you don't want to be out there publicly being turned down by 5 or 6 or 8. Now it works a little different at the coordinator level, because you're not fishing exactly from the same pond, and it's not as much interest as it is if a head coach's job is on the line. So maybe it'll be a little quieter search. But yeah, we expect to start hearing some names in the coming days, especially this week because it's a bye week. It's a very important week, and I think honestly, Aslan, don't you think he gets most of his ducks in a row by this time next week? Like he should have a pretty good handle on who's going to be running his defense by this time next week, I think. And maybe offense too, I hope. But definitely I think defense.
Yeah, I would think he has a list in mind. He had one in mind weeks ago, and then now it's all official, so now he can fully go into hyperspeed on getting all this sort of stuff done. So looking forward to it the next week or so. Again, everybody, the 150 special. 1 week, $1, and then 50% off a annual membership. Do it, everybody. And check out Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Daily lunch specials, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. But on Tuesday, all day long, it's tacos going down. Soft shell, hard shell, beef or chicken. All in the lead up to Trivia Night at 7 p.m. at the CP, affectionately known to the fans of the establishment. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Thursday night will be bingo night as usual. Multiple opportunities to win cash money. As always, billiards, darts, cold beer, delicious food, attractive people of both genders, and a jukebox that you can buy it. You can buy its loyalty. Just put some coins in there or just scan your card or whatever.
Well,
it's an app.
Yeah,
it's probably
I was going to say it's an app. Well, you can put money in there, too. I don't think it takes quarters. That would be crazy, like it's 1997. I miss those types of jukeboxes, though.
Yeah.
I guess they still have them at Waffle House.
Okay.
Those are the only, but it's a certain type of song you're always hearing at Waffle House. But I mean like Southern rock. You don't have a lot of options there. But I haven't seen a real jukebox other than there in a long time. But yeah, you get an app, you download the app, AMI Music, I think, and you can sit there at your table and just play song after song after song. You could actually be at home and just screw with the bar. I shouldn't have even said that. Don't do that, everyone. But go to Corner Pocket. Good music, good people, a lot of TVs, and great prices and good food.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. It's Wake Up Warchant. It's presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Promo code WarchantBOGO. Warchant, B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. Yeah, I wish the one question I would have been able to ask, or I really wish I would have gone to the, is this it? Do you foresee more changes down the line? Although I don't know if he would have really committed to anything there, but probably needed to get that on the record at some point. But hey, we get to speak to him in a week probably, so we can get it from him then. What I did ask him about, though, because I think one of the first questions was a two-parter from Brendan Sano, which, by the way, shout out to him for having loose change on him in the press box. In South Bend, I needed a nickel to use as a screwdriver for a piece of equipment. Right. He had spare change on him, so
I didn't know they still made nickels.
Yeah, carry coins on you, people. You never know. You can help somebody out in their time of need. Coins, cash. It's cool, kids. But he asked like a two-part question, and administration was part of it, and it was kind of glossed over because it was the second part of the question, which we should all know, everybody, that when you ask a two-part question to Mike, second part probably not going to get answered. But it's
also,
fine.
I think that's most people.
Yeah, there you go. There's Corey. Staying on brand, defending Mike Norvell at any
I'm
cost.
just saying that's most people. It's hard to answer two parts of a question. Your mind's racing.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I like when Fuller be like, what was the second part of that one before?
Yeah.
Miss you, Adam. Love you, man. But ask him about the how understanding A.D. Alford was when you basically asked him to get rid of two guys that, less than a year ago you asked him to make financial commitments to. I think I said financial contributions. Sorry, everybody, in the English language. I apologize. He sounded very... What did you think about him saying that those raises were well-deserved? There was a part in my life, Corey, when I was working in Mississippi where I felt like I was redlining every single year. I was working constantly 70 to 80 hours a week during football season to make a really awesome Friday night football show and to go cover the best SEC game in the state, whether Mississippi State or Ole Miss was playing wherever. I made it my life's goal to do this, and I was working so darn hard. And I remember, not being happy with the amount of money I was making, but then I'm like, how can I go and ask for a raise when I cannot honestly look at them in the eye and be like, I could work even harder? I'm just like, I'm going to ask you for more money. You're going to expect more out of me, but I can't give you any more, man. I'm giving you 110% every single day of the week here. But maybe it's me being a little bit older and realizing sometimes raises are retroactive. You're asking for a raise for stuff that
work already rendered.
Yeah. And, Mike, I don't want to say defiant, but Mike was a little bit assertive when he said that, hey, listen, I like you said, we gave them, new contracts or whatever. And he's like, they were well-deserved. They were well-earned. And again, it underscores the awkwardness of this entire situation to where 1 year ago you were on top of the world and a year later, less than a year later, you're 1-9 and near the bottom of it or what have you. How do you think he handled that? Did you read anything into him saying that, they were well-deserved, well-earned raises, and then apparently they're not good enough to still be sticking around here a year later?
Yeah, I mean, they aren't if you look at what they've done this year. But at the same time, yeah, man, I think most raises aren't about the job, what you're about to do. It's usually about what you've done and what you've earned. And, when you win 19 straight games and win an ACC championship, especially where they came from, yeah, I think those raises were earned. That's what Jimbo did every year. And I'm not just talking about the national championship year. He got raises for those guys. They're earned. But, I mean, we can't sit here and say that Rick Trickett didn't earn the raise after the 13-14 stretch, but he certainly wasn't that wasn't money well spent 2 years later and 3 years later. This clearly wasn't money well spent the next year. But yeah, I get your point. If they were good enough to give them, I mean, you're paying them $8.5 million not to coach. Aren't they good enough to coach? And I guess the answer would be, well, we have more data now. And frankly, man, again, if Mike Norvell hadn't signed that crazy extension, I don't know if we're talking to him now. This is how bad this has been. Oh. So, I think he wants. It's a fine line he has to try to walk, right, between. He talked about those guys and how he wants to keep the program. He wants to get back there to honor their legacy. Yeah,
I have an obligation. It was crazy on Veterans Day. We're talking about the sacrifices that Adam Fuller and Alex Atkins made.
He did. Again, you're making me do it again, Aslan. He did start the whole thing by thanking the veterans.
He did.
And
shouting out Brian Penske.
Team. Yeah. But by the way, shout out to them. They're a 1 seed. They get. I think they start either Friday or Saturday. They host Samford in the first round. North Carolina is the 2 seed, who they just beat in the ACC tournament. So if they get to the Elite Eight, they will probably be playing North Carolina at home for a right to go to the College Cup, the Final Four. So that'd be the third time they played them. So interesting, I thought, that they put a team they just beat by 1 goal into the same bracket. But anyway, so when Norvell was talking about honoring their legacies and how great men they are great men, and they've done a lot together, and they all did a lot together. It's a fine line of honoring what they did, because they did do a lot, man. That we don't forget because we're living it again. But this was an awful program a few years ago, and then they got to the part where they should have been a playoff team, and they did win an ACC title. They went undefeated. We lived that life, and as he pointed out, it wasn't that long ago. Last year at this time, we were talking about an undefeated football team making a run at the playoff. Mm-hmm. That was last year at this time. So, The fact that he then had to fire those people, again, I don't think it should just be dismissed like he had no choice. Of course he did it. Maybe. But I think it shows that the guy, he knows this is, he can't screw this up. And I do commend him for, number one, not just talking I was going to say the S word, about these coaches that he just left, but also, he did say they've done a lot of great things and their family and all that. But he did say, results matter. Like, results matter. And you've got to show the recruits, you've got to show the players that there is there's accountability in this for everyone. Like, players lose their jobs all the time. Conrad Hussey, Devontae Brown, they don't play at all anymore. They lost their jobs because of production. Well, guess what? Their defensive coordinator just lost his job for the same reason. Like, it's about producing, and I like and appreciate that he did walk the line of saying nice things about those guys, but then also admitting, with good reason, yeah, man, they weren't delivering. They weren't holding up their end of the bargain. So, yes, they got raises. I think they were earned. You could also ask, who were you bidding against? But I think that's what good head coaches want to do that. They want to get raises for their guys. It just so happens to be that it didn't work out, and it was a waste of a lot of money because now they have to pay Adam Fuller, Alex Atkins, and Ron Dugans. I think the number is $8.4 million over the next 2 years to not coach. And it's going to be more than that, as Aslan said, because you could have asked him that, by the way, about are there going to be more changes. He would have hemmed and hawed. He wouldn't have answered it. But we know there is.
Yeah.
We know there is. I personally don't think the guy that's your defensive coordinator moving forward, doubt he'll be here next year. The real interesting one, man, really, and we brought it up yesterday, Tokars. I don't know what you do with him. I just don't foresee you bringing in an offensive coordinator and making him take this quarterback coach. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like guys want their own quarterback coach. A lot of them are their own quarterback coach. So I just think there are going to be more than just these three. I would almost say it's a certainty. There's going to be more than just these three firings because whoever you're bringing in is going to want their own linebackers coach, might want their own secondary coach, might want their own D-ends coach. So there's going to be a lot more change, but you got to get through the season. So you got to coach the kids for at least the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but there's obviously so many different options and configurations he can go with, and I think somebody asked him about it too, and he's like, everything's on the table again. But I think some of us might be discounting the fact of running it back, like bringing in an offensive line coach and making him also the OC, but in kind of name only. Just again, like keep Tony the way it is. We'll have a better offensive line. I'll be able to call the plays better. Because I don't necessarily need to fill both of those roles. Like I don't need to go get an offensive coordinator who might be a quarterback guru, quarterback coach leaning thing, and then get rid of Tony that way and then bring an offensive line coach. That sounds like probably the best way to do it. I feel like, I feel like you have every reason, you have every referendum. This season's been a referendum that everything should change. Yeah. So that's probably the best way to do it. But I mean, there's maybe still a path where you feel Tony is a good enough quarterback developer that if he's got a good offensive line coach, these guys can actually go through their progressions. But yeah, maybe Thompson gets reassigned and then you can move Tokars at tight end. I just feel like the Yak, Thompson, Tokars triumvirate, which is not a fair thing to say as though they're in cahoots, but like those are three guys that are probably the closest personally to Mike. Yak was with him at Memphis. Tony was with him at Memphis. Tony turned down 2 times working with Norvell. So no loyalty this time around, Mike, if you have to do that. But those guys have been around them forever. He actually, he'd been with Thompson at Arizona State, dating back even further before Memphis. So, like, those are his kind of core guys. And I don't know how important they are to the overall mix of things. Yak got you Keon, I feel like, probably was very instrumental in getting you Keon, probably very instrumental in getting Destin here eventually. Maybe opening the door to getting a guy like Ja'Kai to come without very little runway to recruit a guy when you first got hired. So, perhaps he's earned keeping his job. And listen, Thompson might have the best segment on the team next year if you don't lose Landon Thomas and Amari Williams. But I just feel like when it comes to making all these hard decisions, you probably need to cut ties with some of your closer friends on the staff, but maybe those guys aren't part of the problem that he sees when he's looking at the tape and everything. Because he did mention again on Monday, Corey, about he did not think the players backed down. Like he saw good effort out of the players, which, I keep getting yelled at because they're like, what are you talking about, Aslan? Like, look at the film. They're loafing. So, but I guess that's what you have to say right now when you're trying to get new kids.
I think the retort to that is, well, he needs better players. If that's as good as they can, is that as hard as they can go? Yeah. And maybe it is. I mean, it's not, when people say a team isn't trying or they've given up, it's too collective. It's too singular, as if an entire team decides to give up. No, man, there are some players that are playing their ass off. I thought Azarie might have played his best game on Saturday. He gave up one crazy third down conversion. But other than that, he played really well in the coverage, and he also came up and tried to hit folks. Like, he seemed more physical against the run. Now, he might be doing that just to put it on film because he wants to be a high draft pick, which I assume he will be still. But either way, I wouldn't look at the way he played and say, yeah, he gave up. I mean, Earl Little tried to run that guy down. He didn't. He almost got there. He almost tripped him up. He tried to, but you know what I mean? So we say that a team gives up. Collectively, sure, I guess you could frame it like that. But there are individual players that aren't. And maybe in the second half, those guys, when you're starting to shuffle in the newcomers or the second and third stringers, they're not good enough to even look like they're trying when you're comparing them to what they're going up against. Maybe. I don't know. But, look, it almost doesn't matter. Like, I'm of the opinion, because I know who's the big-time offensive line recruit?
Oh, Solomon Thomas.
Yeah.
NGL, not going to lie, he says.
Yeah.
Y'all messed up getting rid of my coach with a photo of Alex Atkins he tweeted out. But then he said it's all about business, so, if you're not talking business, I don't want to talk.
I would say this to Solomon. Okay, man, good luck. Like, you there's no recruit, certainly not at that position, certainly not being coached by that guy, that you're like, absolutely, he's got to stay because you can't lose this offensive lineman. There's no guarantee, Solomon, that you were ever going to start at Florida State. I'm not telling him not to come. Please, by all means, come. But Armella was ranked as highly as you. He's never sniffed the field. So, again, this is so much bigger than one recruiting class.
Obviously, yes. Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's bigger than one recruit. I don't know if there's a single recruit, unless you have the best quarterback in the country coming in and two of the best wide receivers, and they're like, if Atkins leaves, we're leaving. Maybe that I've always been of the opinion that the reason Leonard Hamilton wasn't let go after, I think it was the 2015 season, is because he had Jonathan Isaac locked and loaded. With, I don't know if Bacon was
Bacon
was
and
coming
Beasley
back.
still, I think. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Beasley left after a year, but I think Bacon came back. So he knew the next year, Florida State's administration knew, okay, you're getting maybe the highest recruit they've ever signed, along with it looks like you're getting Dwayne Bacon, who's one of the best scorers in the conference, to come back. If we get rid of Leonard Hamilton now, well, we start all over, and we never get a year of Jonathan Isaac, and you don't get another year of Dwayne Bacon, and that's not worth the risk. Let's see what he can do with these NBA guys. And lo and behold, they made the tournament. They got to the second round, got trounced by Xavier. The next year, they're in the Elite Eight. The next year, they're in the Sweet 16. The next year after that, they're going to be a 2 seed and perhaps go to the Final Four, and COVID happens. But that was because of, I think, one or two players. In football, it'll never be that. It'll never be that. So, again, they can all go. The whole recruiting class can say, we're not coming. It doesn't matter anymore for right now. It's also fluid with the roster building. And I'm of the opinion, Aslan, don't you think? I mean, we talk about the coaches, and the coaches are important. You got to get them players, obviously. But Gene and Tom asked me yesterday what I thought the over-under was for new players on the team. And I said 55. What do you think about that number?
54.5, yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm all
55.5.
I'm all
no, but
for
what
it.
do you think the realistic number is? I mean, that's not outlandish.
No, because we talked about the other day. I mean, they signed 20-something in high school, and they had about 23 guys in the portal. Is that number not completely accurate? Yeah, that sounds in the realm. I mean, if I would take the under, I think it would only be by maybe 2 or 3. Like the margin of error in that number is probably 2 and 3. I don't think it's in the teens. I don't think it's double digits. You're bringing
in half a new roster if they go to 105. Yeah. But if they stay at 85, you're bringing in like 58% of an entire new roster. You're bringing in 50 players. 50 new players and probably 6 new coaches, maybe 7. Like one kid that's 18 saying he's going to go somewhere else because okay, man, great. There's 5 years of watching this. But none of these linemen get developed. The line has gotten worse the longer he's been here, to the point that it's the worst offensive line in the country. So Twitter threats, I don't think they affect any Florida State fan anymore. You know what I mean? No. It's like, okay, man, good luck. We great. We go 1-9 without you, big dog. We can't. But here's the thing: we can't ever go 1-9 again. And your coach, the guy you committed to, is one of the reasons this team is 1-9. So sorry it hurt your feelings, but okay, good luck. And then he comes back and says it's all a business. So maybe he'll stick. I wouldn't count on it. Oh well. The bigger deal by far is bringing in a new offensive line coach that hopefully he can keep Solomon Thomas. And Solomon Thomas becomes an All-American and a first-round pick. But even if he can't, he's got to develop better than this. He's just got to. Literally, who has this guy developed? Not trying to kick a guy while he's down, but when you're looking at Alex Atkins and that offensive line, who has gotten better since they've been here? Who's going to be drafted, Aslan? Yeah. Dimitri Emmanuel was a 2-time starter here. He's now a coach. He played last year. Like, none of these guys have NFL futures. You need to start getting guys on the line of scrimmage that have NFL futures. Go find them. Go develop them. Go evaluate that they have the potential of that. Whatever it takes, man. Go buy them. But get some guys here that can block for Jiminy Christmas. Sorry, I don't mean to use that kind of language, folks. It's just, it's been a long day.
By the way, his bio on Twitter, Solomon Thomas, refers to himself as a state champion in discus.
Okay.
And also a 5-star offensive lineman, but the S is actually, in star, is actually a $. Kind of respect that.
I do too.
Not going to lie.
Amen, Solomon. Amen.
Kind of respect
And,
that.
hey, that sounds like I don't care if he comes. I want the young man to come.
Yeah.
He's been committed forever. I'm sure that is very hard. The guy he's been talking to, they developed a relationship with a year and a half. But as he's young, these guys maybe don't understand like the rest of us do about the real world. But when you don't produce at this level, man, there's repercussions. And who is going to be his position coach has not produced at any level at all the last couple of years, and has quite simply failed at his task. And he is now not here.
Yeah. Also, Mario Nash on Sunday had tweeted out, really heartbreaking to hear Coach Atkins has been fired. He's family to me. I really believe in him as a man and coach. I want the best for him and his family. I'm remaining committed at this time. But then he retweeted Solomon talking about, not going to lie, y'all messed up firing my coach with bruh. And then Peyton Joseph, the other offensive lineman in this upcoming class. It was a different type of bond, broken heart emoji. Best is yet to come forever. Got love for this man, one of the realest in the game. And Mario Nash, again, the offensive lineman from Mississippi, who I think committed maybe 2-3 weeks ago, retweeted that with 100 emoji.
So is the trio coming or not?
Doesn't seem likely. Doesn't seem likely.
You can't, but it's not. They haven't all decommitted.
Yeah, no decommitments at all.
Yeah.
But hey, in full disclosure, this is me coming back retroactively and putting this into the show. After we got done recording this, our own Matt Lasser caught up with Solomon Thomas, and there's some encouraging, quotes in the story. You got to be a subscriber, but go to warchant.com and check that out. Let me pivot to this question, but real quick, let's just try to commit this to memory. Florida State signed 23 kids last year out of high school, and they had 17 transfers in, so 40.
Okay,
right,
so
40.
Perfect. So I definitely think it's going to be more than that.
Yeah.
The issue is you're probably not going to have 23 high school kids.
Yes.
But you might have 35 transfer kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be the reality. It usually is when you make a massive staff change like this. There's not a lot of stability with guys you've been recruiting for 2 years, so they might go elsewhere. They're also back on they're free agents. So you can get them back by spring practice. Certainly by August, they can come back. Solomon Thomas might commit to Colorado and then be on campus in Tallahassee in July. Like that's how crazy this whole thing is. So don't wring your hands about it.
Yeah, that would have been a good follow-up to ask Norvell if we were in a more casual setting where it's not, you get handed the microphone, you ask your question, you have to hand the microphone back. But I wonder how much of the conversations on Sunday was like, just hold on, don't commit yet, elsewhere. Like, just give me an opportunity to show you what we're going to do. Because, yeah, he really can't give you too much information. He can't tell a 17-year-old kid, hey, I'm going to go get the line coach from the Steelers. You know, like, he can't tell a kid that because he's going to go tell everybody, and then it's all out there, and you create an entire problem. So I think, you know, it's probably not that hard because you can be really truthful with these kids right now. Like, I think maybe the last week and a half, 2 weeks was probably more trying, telling these kids, like, oh, yeah, like, everything's going to be okay. Yeah, we're going to keep this guy, et cetera, et cetera. And then now they're no longer here. I think it's really easy now to be totally honest and transparent with, I mean, I know everybody, you got a big commitment ceremony. If you want to still do that, totally get it. I don't want to lose you, but that's your choice. But, man, you don't have to sign on that Wednesday. There's no rule that says you have to. So if you can give me 3 more days after that.
Yeah, by Friday at 11:55 p.m., you know, hey, sign on the dotted line. We don't know what it means. I don't even know if they have national letters of intent anymore. So I don't know what it even means to sign anymore. Honestly, honest to God, I don't know. I assume you can sign with Florida State on Wednesday and then say, never mind, I'm signing with Florida on Thursday. You're not hardwired or contracted into anything. So who knows? But anyway, yeah, let them look. It's so much bigger than one recruiting class, and this recruiting class wasn't going to be good anyway. If they all leave, it's not ideal. It just means you're going to get more 20-year-olds instead of 18-year-olds when you go to the portal. But you're going to have to. And look, you know, I think the hard conversations Norvell would have if any of these guys are upset, and it sounds like 3 of the linemen are. You don't try to beg them. You're not begging them to stay, but you do explain it to them. Like, look. You're going to be upset when you see what we do here. We are going to turn this thing around again. I don't know where you're going, but we are going to turn it around, and I'm probably going to have an offensive line coach that will get one person to the NFL. Just one. Because understand, and that's the thing, you don't want to talk smack about the guy that you were just lauding for the last 4 years when on the recruiting trail. But you can at least explain it in a way they can understand. Like, look, we are dead last in the country in scoring points. You guys know that, right? And you watch that offensive line. Does that look like it's a well-coached unit? And there's some experience there. And go look at the recruiting classes we've had the last 3 years. Are any of those guys playing worth a damn at all on my offensive line? No. So, in my opinion, Mario, or who's our good guy? Who's the Solomon. We're giving you a better chance to succeed and a better chance to get to the NFL by bringing in a replacement. And I know you have a lot of love for Coach Atkins. I know you have a great relationship, and I'm not saying you couldn't have done it with him. But if you're going by recent track record, who I'm going to bring in, I think is going to be an upgrade. And so wait till you see who it is and just give us a chance. If you're not interested, fine, go somewhere else. But this is why I did it, and this is why I think it will benefit you in the long run. Because this guy, look at this guy's track record. He's had 9 guys drafted, or 11, or maybe 50. Who knows who they're going to get? Or maybe it's, Dante
Scarnecchia comes out of retirement.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe trick it. Who knows? It's all on the table, Aslan, as Mike Norvell said.
2 quick things I want to get to, but first, one final break. I want to kind of put the bow on the conversation about the recruits, I guess, Corey. Just not so much the recruits, but that was something that Mike talked about specifically on Monday, was that he reached out to all these guys. I guess, what was just your overall impression by his appearance, I guess? I mean, a lot of people feel that he looks as relaxed as he has in a long, long time, as though there's been like a weight kind of lifted off, or at least, maybe you kind of knew that you're going to have to keep, swallowing these bitter pills week after week after week. And now you no longer kind of have to. Now it's, maybe you're in transition now. Now it's no longer like we're just getting our heads kicked in every weekend. Might lose the last game of the year, but we have a winnable game coming up, and now it's all about fixing this thing, regaining respect in the community, of the coaching community, and then re-winning over these fans and things like that. Did you see Mike looking any more chipper, exuberant, vibrant than he has been the last 10 weeks?
It's hard to say that. I think he spoke with more confidence about what he did. Because we didn't ask him a single question about Notre Dame, everyone. How could we? What would we ask other than that timeout? There was nothing to ask about the game. But we've been talking so much at these Monday press conferences about everything that's gone wrong. in him saying what he had to say, like, I believe in these guys, and they're working hard, and work works, and all that, and I haven't seen any let up. Well, this was all a conversation and a topic that I feel like he feels good about. Not that he had to do it, but he feels good about the decision. And so I don't know if he looked relaxed, but he wasn't morose. He wasn't despondent. I think there was an uptick of determination in his voice, quite frankly, and the way he talked, in not like puffing out his chest or anything, but not shrinking from it either. Like, yeah, I did what I had to do, essentially, is what he said for 30 minutes. I did what I had to do. It sucked. It was hard. But this program deserves better than what these guys were giving him. And now, again, he could turn that same thing and look in the mirror and say it to himself, say about himself. And he has, but he's not going to fire himself. So I don't know that I would have called it relaxed. I guess I'm not saying it wasn't. It didn't occur to me. I did think he was kind of really just more confident in what he was talking about, because he didn't have to BS us. He was just answering straightforward questions. Why did you do this? When did you do this? How does this get better? Boom, boom, boom. And he had real answers. And not like, yeah, man, they're working hard. He finally admitted, not just that the running game has been awful, it's all awful. The defense he didn't talk nearly as much about. He just wasn't asked about it. But the defense has been gross too. So I just feel like this gave him a little more leeway to talk openly about the problems, because he ripped the Band-Aid off. And now we get to see the oozing wound.
Ooh.
Sorry, that's what wounds do, right? They ooze. I guess if they're not healed.
Last question on the way out, Corey. I know you don't like doing this sort of stuff, but we'll bury it. The internet won't remember. So what do you think happens, man? I mean, we don't have any names out there, so once we start hearing names, then that probably gives us a little bit of an idea in the direction that we think Mike's going to go. Let's just kind of talk about the offense today. Maybe we can talk about the defense another day, unless you feel more comfortable talking about the defense in this sort of prediction. But you think O-line coach, offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach, quarterbacks coach, running backs coach, tight ends coach. That's your standard kind of layout, if you will, for an offensive staff.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I think Yak will live. I think he'll survive. I think you probably get rid of Thompson. Maybe moves to a different role. So I think you maybe get a new tight ends coach, although maybe you keep Thompson. I think you probably get an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach combo. And I think you get an offensive line coach. And I still think Norvell holds on the play calling, and you get a receivers coach. That's the way I see it playing out right now. I don't have any names for everybody, but I think that's the way the offensive staff will function and be set up.
Well, then so he's not bringing in an OC.
Well, he'll be quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator, like entitled, yeah. But Kenny, but not calling plays, Kenny.
Oh, well, that would be bad. That would be a bad thing to do, Mike. I know you listen to this, Mike. Good to see you on Monday, by the way. Thought you spoke with confidence. But do not do that. Do not go after this season, go out and get you a OC in name only and keep running this offense and keep calling these plays. Keep running your offense. Do not do it. This is a call to arms. It's a call to action from somebody that cares about this program. Your offense sucks. It's the worst in the country, and it's going to be hard to get good offensive coordinators and good QB coaches and good wide receivers coaches to come coach in this thing.
Well, maybe it doesn't need all that. Maybe it just needs a good offensive line coach, 2 good receivers out of the portal, and 2 offensive linemen. And then we're back to 9 wins.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, there is that thought that instead of spending $2 million on an OC so $6 million over the next 3 years, give that to 2 awesome wide receivers. And that makes things better, sure. But no, I would foresee a new QB coach. I think the ones that are – and I think he's giving up the offense. I think he's giving up the offense. Now, he might go well and wrestle it back. Like –
why wouldn't he say he would, Corey? I mean, I'm not trying to be
because he doesn't want to tip his hand, and he's not sure if he will. I do think it matters who's interested in it. He's not going to give it to some 25-year-old that's coached 2 years at Samford and say, yeah, go run Florida State. Because why would he trust that guy over himself who does have 15 years of experience running offense at this level? But if he gets a qualified candidate that's impressive, that can also bring in an O-line coach that has had recent success at the big boy-ish level, he just I don't think he knows what direction he's going to go yet, or who all is going to be interested in him. But if who's the guy that was at Georgia? Now he's with the Ravens.
Todd Monken.
If Monken is like, you know what, I want to get back to college coaching. I'm tired of coaching Lamar Jackson. This isn't fun. Derrick Henry running over everybody. People, I don't even get to coach. I just say give it to Derrick or let Lamar do Lamar things. Nobody appreciates the Monk. Nobody appreciates what Monk is doing. I want to go to Florida State where they just had the worst offense since color TV was invented. And I want to go turn that thing around. So if Monken comes out and says, Mike, I'm interested. I don't think Norvell is going to be like, I don't know, man. Do you like what? Go look at all our plays this year. Go look at our games this year. See if you like the offense I'm running. So, and obviously Monken's not coming. But a qualified candidate, I think it's absolutely, and I don't think that's just coach speak. I think it's absolutely on the table that he gives it up. And I think you'll have probably a new quarterbacks coach. I think there'll be some changes on the defense too. I'm with you. I think Thompson and Yak can survive. I don't know if they will because it depends on who he's bringing in. But I think you are limiting your possibilities if you just say I'm running this thing. And I think you could go get some really, really good offensive coordinators out there if you let them run your offense. But I think it's not as important, but it's close. And this is something we'll talk about a lot over the next probably 5 weeks. What's going on at quarterback? What's going on at quarterback, Aslan? Because I would dare say nothing that either one of these young men have done, and I will grant you all the grants that nobody in front of them can block and nobody around them can get open. So take that for what it's worth. Neither one of them will fill a potential coordinator with great joy and energy to come coach them just from what they put on the field through these last 4 games.
That's it right there, I think, man. I mean, listen, I don't want to say you changed my mind, but I'm connecting dots right now. And if you're going to get a really good offensive coordinator, he's going to want to say so in some of his staffing. So, yeah, you could be like, hey, listen, I want to bring this guy as my receivers coach. This is the guy that I trust to be my offensive line coach. But more so than anything, no one of great stature is going to come here if they're just going to stand pat at quarterback. And I don't even think it's so much, we'll go in the portal and get you who you want. Almost feels like it's got to be a 2-for-1 thing where you're bringing in a coordinator who already has a pre-existing relationship with a quarterback. Because, I mean, probably lose Brock and then Luke sticks around, but how good will an offensive coordinator be able to look at the film and be like, with my offensive line coach, we should be fine. Like we'll be in contention to make it into the playoff. Because I think that's how they're wired to think. I don't know if it's going to be, hey, we're going to a team that went 2-10 last year, Jimmy, my offensive line coach. We're good. Like we're going to have 2-3 years to get this thing solved, which I don't think they're going to have 2 years to get it solved, by the way. So, maybe that's the reason why there is no choice but to let go of your offense, because you're going to have to bring in a guy with an offense and a quarterback.
Well, but I wonder, Aslan, because I hear you, and I mostly agree with that. I would say, though, like, Shannon Dawson never coached Cam Ward, but didn't Cam Ward run a similar offense?
Yes, air raid. Yes.
So even if you're not getting – even if the guy that's quarterbacked his offense this year is a senior, and he could say, look, man, I've got a backup that's awesome. He's going to be really good. Or I don't think my backup's very good. But this kid that we played against this year runs a very similar offense, and I know he would excel in my offense. I bet we could get him. I don't think it necessarily has to be a 2-for-1, like they both have to be from the same school or whatever, have a history of coaching together, but somebody that is familiar with that offense.
Fair. All right, yeah.
I think it could be something like that. That's a question, man. Like, the OC is going to want to know if he has the keys, how much say he gets, how much Norvell's going to butt in, if Norvell's going to wear the headset during the game. Like, he's going to want to know all that. He's also going to, want to know the guy pulling the trigger, running the offense. Now, Croman Hawk and Brock Glenn might both end up being really good college quarterbacks. They might do it here. That's right now what they've shown is a hard sell. It's a hard sell to a capable coordinator who already might have another quarterback in mind. So that's something, obviously, as I just kind of reiterated what you said and what I said earlier, just to make the show a little longer. I think that's something to track is
absolutely
OC/quarterback and what that's going to look like.
Hey, that guy at UNLV, his quarterback entered the portal, right?
Oh, the one that didn't get the NIL?
Yeah.
Yeah, nope. And the kid he's been winning with is a senior, unfortunately. There's one thing about that guy at UNLV. It's Brennan Marion, right?
Yeah, Brennan.
Yeah, who played receiver for Norvell at Tulsa. And he has like the ninth scoring offense in the country. So they score a ton of points. I think they're like 35th in total yards, but they're ninth in top 10 in the country in scoring. Nothing to sneeze at. A lot of their yardage, a lot of their offense is predicated on that quarterback running the ball. Like I haven't looked up what he's
Jordan
run
Travis-esque sounds like.
No, much more than that. It's like I don't even know, man. It's like Jane Daniels in 2022. Like it is all him moving and running. And it's like, okay, how's your offense going to look if you don't have a guy that's going to run for 1,000 yards at quarterback? Because that kid, every box score I look at, he's run for like 140 yards. He's their leading. I think he's their leading rusher on the season. So again, it's awesome. You can go get another quarterback that's willing to do that and is as good a runner. But what if you're not? But I'm almost certain, everyone, you're going to hear it here first. Let's say it is the UNLV guy, and he's shown what he can do in that athletic quarterback. So you feel good about that. Well, there's a guy at Boston College that is absolutely leaving. There's no way Castellanos is staying. If you've looked at his numbers this year, they're incredible in how low they are. Like all they do is run the ball, and usually not even with him. I think he's thrown for less yards than like Brock Glenn this year. It's crazy. So maybe Castellanos is on the market. You go bring in a coordinator that has proven he can run an offense where an athletic quarterback can shine. And then there you go. You're off to the races. We're all going to the Orange Bowl again next year.
And I feel like that's a bridge too far, man. I don't know if he wants.
You don't want Castellanos?
No, I love Castellanos. I don't know. I think Mike really, maybe beggars can't be choosers. He needs to win. He needs to fix this, even if it's going to go against the way he wants to play football. Like he doesn't want some guy's going to go up tempo. Not be his first option. I don't want to become a tempo team with a quarterback that runs it 17 times a game. But you really don't have a choice, man.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of do, though, because your buyout's a really big number. But, yeah, shout out to my guy, Haji Malik Williams. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Yeah.
1,192 yards through the air, 13 touchdowns, only 3 picks.
Like that.
And he's rushed for 617 yards on 99 carries and 6 scores.
Yeah.
That'll hunt.
That's
this guy was at Campbell, brother. He was at Campbell for the 5 previous seasons.
And he was the backup to start out the first 2 weeks of this season, right? Until that kid just left because he wasn't getting paid.
Goes to UNLV, and that's what he's doing at UNLV. I mean, that's the kind of shooting star hire that you feel like would probably hunt even in Florida State in a Power 4 system. So
yeah.
We can
Agreed. He certainly, I think, you would have to imagine there's a conversation. And that other quarterback, the Sluka kid, the kid that left, how many games did he play? 2, 3? But he ran for 253 yards in just 3 games. So combined, their 2 quarterbacks this season, their 2 starting quarterbacks have run for 871 yards in 10 games. So they're averaging rushing. So everybody remember how excited you all were watching Luke Kromenhoek against Miami in those a couple of big runs he had? These guys average doing more than that per game. So, again, I'm not saying you can't go get a guy athletic quarterbacks, there's a lot of them, and they are a lot of fun, and they help your offense. So maybe that's the strategy. But there are a lot of good players out there, a lot of good quarterbacks out there, a lot of good coordinators out there. So let's hope it all works out for the Noles, Aslan. And a reminder that the basketball team plays tonight against Tarleton State.
Okay.
Trying to go to 3-0.
Trying. On their way to going 3-0, Corey.
Well said, buddy. Well said. Though I know that 1976 Indiana team, they're still waiting to pop the champagne, and they can't yet. Not with the Noles, anyway.
No, sir. Got a couple more questions, but it's been about an hour, and it's an off week, so we'll save those for another show probably tomorrow.
Okay.
As Gene reminded me on Monday, it is not an off week, Aslan. It is going to be a busy week. So stay connected to warchant.com. Seminole headlines later today. You want to do that with your guys?
That's right. Yep. Doing that from 1 to 3. Should be a lively show.
Can't wait. I'm going to listen to that. That's required listening. And then don't forget, everybody, hop on over to warchant.com. No promo code even needed. It's the $150 special, $1 for 7 days of access, then 50% off your first year at Warchant. I mean,
it's
there
unbelievable. It's unbelievable what we're doing, folks. Come on now. And you get this for free.
Yeah.
So you get this for free. That's essentially free. Well, go ahead and help everyone out. We love you, all you guys.
And if you are a member, go ahead and sign up again and then gift that to somebody for Christmas.
Aslan, you're just coming up with all great ideas.
Just trying to help people out there. Just trying to help everybody out there. I'm just working through a platform, I think, for possible presidential candidacy run in 28.
Oh, okay. You'll be old enough, yeah.
Yeah, be on the lookout, everybody. We'll see how it goes.
Great.
We'll see how it goes. He's Corey Maslin. Don't forget Seminole Headlines 1 to 3 o'clock, 93.3 FM, as well as our YouTube channel, Warchant TV. Stay connected to warchant.com. For Corey, I'm Maslin. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Promo code warchantbogo. Buy one, get one free.